Hey guys, it's Tori, and today I'm going to be doing my TBR Tackle Readathon TBR. So, this is a readathon being hosted throughout the year of 2022 by Kieran from KD Books, and I only recently saw the announcement for this. I've been really behind on my video watching, and usually with readathons I'll watch them the day of just because there's information I need quickly in those videos. But for whatever reason, I didn't watch this the day it was released. And so I ended up not being able to participate for January. But before I get too ahead of myself in this, let's discuss what this readathon is actually about. So basically the premise of this readathon is that you'll pick 12 books, and each month you're going to read one of them, and each month at the beginning of the month Kieran will release the prompt for that month, and so based on that prompt you pick from those 12 books, and slowly they'll dwindle throughout the year until you read all 12. Because I didn't end up getting to January's in time, I only picked 11 books, but I wanted to have a recorded these are the books that I chose so that I'm kept accountable with what I've picked. Because I only have 11, I decided to choose 6 classics and 5 non-classics simply because I'm trying to get through a lot more of my physical TBR this year, and that's the purpose of this readathon, and I have a lot more classics than non-classics as far as my physical TBR, so I decided to utilize that idea of I have more classics to put more classics on this list. So to keep this short, let's just get right into this, starting with the non-classics. All the books on this list are books that I've had for a long time and I just really want to get off my TBR. The first of these being Edgedancer by Sanderson. This is a novella that is part of the Stormlight Archive, and it is based on one of the interludes. For those who have read those books, the interludes are several chapters that are from perspectives in the worlds that aren't the main characters that we're used to. And this particular interlude follows what becomes a minor character in the series. I have not read the 4th one, so I don't know if she plays more of a role there, but in the 3rd one she comes into the actual series, and this is her novella kind of prelude to her experiences jumping into the full-length part of the series. And I've had it for a very long time, have still not read it, and I would like to read it before reading Rhythm of War. I don't think it's that important, but just because I've had it for so long and I know it technically comes before even the 3rd one, I would like to just get it out of the way before I start the 4th one, and I'd like to read Rhythm of War this summer if possible. So I would really like to get to this before then. If not the end of the world, but I really need to get through this. So anyway, there's that first book. Then we have a book that makes me feel like a bad friend, and that is The Road to Rosewood by Ashtyn Newbold. Ashtyn is actually a friend of mine. She was a childhood friend of mine and still is a friend of mine, and she has written several books. I have read some of her other books, so it's not that I haven't read any of her works, but this is the 3rd and final book in her original trilogy that she wrote. So the very first series she came out with, and I have not read it. I've read the first 2, but I have not still picked this up, and it came out in 2018, so I just need to read this year for sure because it's been in my TBR for so long. My struggle is I'm not a huge Regency romance reader. In fact, I'm not really a romance reader at all, and so I just don't tend to be drawn to this type of literature, unfortunately. But she was kind enough to give this to me, and I have enjoyed the first 2 pretty well, so I would like to complete this and show my support to my friend. So we're going to finally get to this year. Then we have a nonfiction about my favorite author of all time, Thomas Hardy, and this book is by Claire Tomalin. I've heard good things about Claire Tomalin as a biographer, so I'm excited to give her writing a try, but also just to learn about Thomas Hardy. I've started this actually and liked where it started off, but it just wasn't the right time for me, so I put it down, never came back to it, and so this year I will definitely be wanting to read this, especially since last year I was able to complete all of his novels. It will be a good time for me to finally get to know a little bit more about him through this book. Then I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is probably one of my non-classics that I have had on my bookshelf, my TBR physical shelf, for the longest. It is a science fiction that takes place on Mars in a society where I believe the social hierarchy is based on colors. So the reds are the lowest class, and we follow a man who is a red whose wife is brutally killed in the society, and he begins to see this conspiracy with this society and decides to rise up against it. That's all I really know. I don't know how much I'll enjoy it. I know a lot of people who have really loved it, but the reason I haven't read it is because I did ask for it for Christmas a few years ago and my brother got it for me. But not long after that, I decided on basically that my tastes had changed and I refocused on other genres. And so this ended up being left by the wayside, but I've kept it because I am still curious about it. So I would love to just finally, again, with all of these, get it off my TBR. And the last non-classic I have on this list, number 5 on this list, is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is a chunky book, so I was a little unsure if I wanted to put it on this list. But again, this is one I've just had for a really long time. And even if I DNF it, I would rather just know what I want to do with it, because at this point, I have had it for so long because I think that I could really like it, but I'm not totally sure. I'm a little intimidated by it because I know of a lot of people who did not like it. So I've been back and forth, but in the end, I just decided, you know what? I can probably finish this in a month, even if I decide to just read a few pages a day throughout the month, however I want to read it. I think I'd be able to finish it pretty okay. I mean, it's over 700 pages, so again, it's long, but I need it off my shelves. So I decided, you know what? We're just gonna put this on even though it is long, because it needs to be gone. It just needs to be gone. And then for my classics, we have first of all Something Wicked This Way Comes by Bradbury. This is a book, again, I've had for a while, and I read Fahrenheit 451 and The Martian Chronicles by Bradbury. Really liked them both, so I wanted to read more, bought this, and then never actually read it. So it's been on several TBRs, and it's just time for me to get to it. So this readathon will force me to read through it. I don't know much about it. I think it's about some boys who end up in this weird, possibly haunted or something strange is going on in this circus. That's all I know, but I'm excited to get back into Bradbury. Then we have another one that has shown up on many a TBR, and that is A Lady of Quality by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I have really wanted to get to this for a long time. For those of you who recognize the name Frances Hodgson Burnett but aren't sure where from, she wrote The Secret Garden and A Little Princess, which I enjoyed both of them. Didn't love The Secret Garden as much, but I did really like A Little Princess, and I think this is more of a YA style of story. This follows a young girl who lives in, I believe, like 1690, if my memory serves me, and she's a wild thing. She likes to wear pants and go riding horses and whatnot, and I think it's about time for her to be married off. That's all I really know about it, but the author, I am curious to read some of her less popular works, and the time period of this really intrigues me, so we'll see how it goes. The oldest book on my TBR, I literally purchased this in either 2014 or 2015, so it's been so long, but I've kept it because it's a classic. It's a huge classic that everybody tends to at least know about, if not love, that I still haven't read, and I would like to just, again, get this off my shelves, and that is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I've had this for so long, a stupid long time, and I really just want to get it off my TBR. So we're going to try to read this or DNF it if that's how life goes, but I just need to get to this. This takes place in the Great Depression and follows a family as they travel across the US in search of work. That's all I really know about it, but I've heard it's heartbreaking, and I do like me a sad book, so we'll see how it goes. I have not really liked many American classics before. There's only a few I've enjoyed, so I'm a little hesitant with it, but again, I've had it for so long, it needs to be gone. It needs to be gone. Then we have a French classic, which is Indiana by George Sand, another one I've had for a while, and George Sand is really an intriguing authoress to me. There are very few French female classic authors that you can find very easily, and she is one of the few I've been able to find a good copy of. This book in particular, I believe Waverley follows a young girl who is married at age 16 to a much older man, and we follow her as she ends up falling in love with someone else. So it's kind of got that affair aspect, which I don't usually like. So I'm going into this very hesitant as far as that goes, but it's one of George Sand's more popular works, I think, at least as far as it was the easiest to access. And George Sand, like I said, is really intriguing to me. She was one that she really broke a lot of stereotypes. She would wear pants, she would date and court and have sex with all sorts of different men, and she just did not care what people thought about her, and that really fascinates me. And I actually heard about her in my music class in college, where we learned about a composer who she had an affair with. And yeah, she just really stood out to me as someone very intriguing, and so I really would love to read one of her novels, and like I said, I've had this for a while, so time to finally get to it. Then we have The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf. I just need to read a Virginia Woolf so bad. It's been so long since I've said I wanted to try Virginia Woolf. I got this several years ago and have planned to read it many a time and never got to it, so I'm finally getting to it. We're going to do this year. I don't know much about this. I think this is mostly just about a group of people on a boat as they're traveling, and I know it's got that stream of consciousness thing to it, so I'm really not sure how I'm gonna feel about it. Even if I don't like this book, I do intend to try at least Mrs. Dalloway and A Room of One's Own, just because those are her more popular works, and I want to give at least Mrs. Dalloway a chance as far as the fiction goes, and then as far as nonfiction, A Room of One's Own seems like one that I should definitely at least try. So I'm willing to give Virginia Woolf multiple chances beyond this, but I own this one already and I really want to get my TBR down, so we are finally going to do this. And the final book on this list is Waverley by Sir Walter Scott. I've just had this for so long, and it's time for me to get rid of it. This story follows people through the Jacobite Revolution in Scotland, and that's all I really know about it, but it is very much a well-known classic, especially from the UK, and it's one, again, I've had for several years and have put on many a TBR and still have not read, so it's finally time for me to pick this up and get it off my TBR this year. And that is it. Those are my 11 books for the TBR Tackle Readathon, and I will see what the prompt for February is on February 1st, which will be very exciting. Let me know down below if you are participating in this, as I would love to know. If you've read any of these and your thoughts on them, as I would love to know that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!